Rolando here from RC Tech Pro Flying. Well, we're going to do another review on the Mini 3 Pro, and this is what we're going to do today. Let's check out Active Track. So hang out. We'll see you in just a little bit. All right, this is going to be our first attempt on the Active Track. We're going to go ahead and turn on. We're going to do trace first. We're going to see how that works. And first, I'm going to go ahead and just take a little walk first. And my idea on this test is to determine how well the Active Track works, even on larger movements. And then I actually run towards it, and the drone backs up, and it actually elevates itself on altitude to try to keep me in the Active Track box. Doing a pretty good job right there. I even try to pull it, move off to the side, and you noticed how the drone drops in altitude as where it started. And it's still following me pretty good. It's locking me in there pretty well. And then it stops real quickly. It's reacting really well. Okay, here's another attempt here on another track here. And you noticed how it says that the optical avoidance is not working. But if you look on the top right corner where the little icons are, it still shows that the optical avoidance is still active and it's still working. So I don't know why it said that. Okay, we try it again. This time you noticed I went on parallel, and the parallel actually disabled the optical avoidances on parallel. And of course I'm running here a little bit to try to see how well it holds up. I do have the drone a little close to me and have a little bit of stop real quickly to see if I can try to throw it off. I think it does a really good in locking the subject in that box that it's tracking. Okay. Now I want to do it loaded, but it says aircraft altitude is too low, so it tells me to increase it. So I wanted to see how low I can do it and track at a lower altitude. I raised it up. It worked just a tad. I think just a little over 4 feet. Actually, it was 4 feet and something. I couldn't see it because it's covered by the controls there for Active Track. Now it does say that the optical avoidance is disabled, as you notice at the top. Now turn it back on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a higher altitude. And of course I can't see how high I go because it's covered by the controls for the Active Track. At this point the box is smaller because obviously it's looking straight down at me. And I think I'm going to do something here to try to throw it off. And here we go. I'm going to come back around. I believe I'm going to do it. Yeah, right here. Nope. I think it's the next turn around. So we're coming back around, turning, and we're running to try to throw it off. I think it does very well on higher altitude. Okay, here I come back. Now this is the part where I try to trick it. So I put my controller down, and then I lay on the landing mat. And you see how it holds. Okay, there it lost me. There it got me and it lost me. And it keeps trying to lock in. Now it just lost me completely. Okay. Because it couldn't determine what it was actually tracking, whether it was a human or it was a vehicle. So this time, as you notice, it's able to switch, doesn't know what I am. And this is the part that kind of frustrated me a little bit because I had to drop it down to try to get a clearer view. The camera had to get a clearer view of me up close to determine what the subject that it was trying to track. So I redid it again. And here I do trace and go back and see how it holds up. Okay, so it's 4 here, and I do the same thing again, but this time it's not at high altitude. I'm going to try to trick it. I lay down, and this time it really goes forwards and backwards really fast. I was like a little nervous. I got back up because I don't know if it was going to crash into something, but it regained traction again, and it still got me in the box. So that time it was working at that point. I just kind of squatted down a little bit to see if it was going to change, see if it was going to stop tracking me based on size. So it works really well. It does track it, but it does have to figure out what it is, if it's a human or a vehicle. So this time I go back to the landing mat again. I lay back down off to the side, and you'll see what happens right there. Immediately lost traction. It's not tracking me no more because it's off to the side. Subject lost. Okay, so here we go. I brought it up in altitude again to go ahead and track me at higher altitude. And you can notice I'm looking between the actual selection boxes there for the active track. I think it's somewhere obviously in the 30-something feet range. Notice the box, you know, from a downward look, it moves back a little bit to keep me in the traction. Now, right here, I'm on Spotlight, which I believe they used to call that tripod mode. So here's something that did impress me was after checking both fast and then the other direction, to the left, to the right, fast and then slow, I started moving away, and it was literally following me, and it was actually orbiting me while it was following me at the same time orbiting. Look at this. So it still orbits, and I'm walking. Instead of it being like, let's say if you were actually looking at a building or something, or some structure that you were trying to orbit around, literally I was following. It was following me. It was working. Okay, we're going to try something different here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and elevate it at a higher altitude again. This time I can see between there. It's in the 40s, 50 feet. And okay, I'm walking around. And I'm going to come back. I believe I'm going to come back to the mat again and see how that is. I think that's what I'm going to do. Yep, it looks like that's what I'm going to do. Now you notice the box around me is very small. Still covering, but you notice the box is basically around the torso of me. And it's holding me, it hasn't moved. Now remember, if I have the drone closer to me, when I do that, it loses the tracking. This time I got up, it didn't move around. It followed me perfectly. All right, now you want to see if active track works with the camera in the vertical position or like portrait mode. It does. It works. I wanted to check and see if that was a problem, and it does work perfectly. All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and track a vehicle. See how that is. I believe I had the altitude set to about 200. It went down a little bit, just under 200 feet. We're going to go ahead and travel. And you notice that there's a little picture of a vehicle in the back of the vehicle showing on the active track that it described it as a vehicle, not as a human subject. And you've noticed in the map on the bottom left, it shows you, it looks like it's got like a headlight toward in the front of the drone that following it. When that goes off really off, not following its subject, it loses traction to the subject, rather being a car or a person. And here I'm going to come around the corner. I'm going about 25 miles an hour or so, and you'll notice the headlight thing turns, disconnects. Okay, it didn't lost the subject. As you notice, it says that on the top left. It lost the subject. So I come back and I go a little bit closer. I try to retrack it. It says too small, so then I start driving a little closer to see if I can get a traction from where I was. I tried a couple times and still it didn't do anything. Okay, I move a little closer, and I tried it just around that bend, right around here. I tried it again. Let's see if I did. Yeah. Okay, so I tried it again, and it couldn't recognize rather what subject it was, human or vehicle. So this is the part that frustrates me, because now I've got to get it to a really close view for the camera to figure out what it is. So there, tried it again. I thought that would work, and it didn't work. So let's see here. I move it closer, but I think the power lines may have been interfering. So I thought, let me reset the program. So I did. I reset it, see if it would find out, and still it wasn't able to distinguish what the subject was that it was trying to track. So I moved the vehicle further, closer, repositioned the drone. This time it picked it up, and it distinguished that it was a vehicle, and began the process of the tracking, and kept it under trace. I start moving. I did pick up some speed here. It did a good job in keeping up with me. I was going about 30 miles an hour or so just before I make the left-hand turn. I was about 30 right here, and it was doing really well. It's keeping up with no problems. Make the turn. Just holding position. I didn't lose it like the other corner earlier in the video shows where it lost me, but this time it kept up with me. And it's doing a really good job holding me in place there. Okay, we're getting, and then here's something interesting as well. I make a turn here because I'm turning back around to park. The trees kind of interfere. It loses its traction. But then watch when I back up that the active track literally reconnects me back up. That was impressive. But obviously when I go into the trees where it can't see me anymore, it's gone. But I think it did a good job. And that's the end of our video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless.